Hi, my name is Brian Hazell, and I'm going to be walking through my Nucamp uh, Python final project. So I built a back-end kind of application API for a TripAdvisor type application. You can see here the code is hosted on GitHub. It's built in Flask. You'll see the README page talking about the project, how you can run it locally. So how you can kick off a Docker container for the application as well as the database and PG admin tools so you can actually test it. And I also added API documentation as well. So some of the functionality includes creating a guest, booking a reservation at a hotel as a guest, creating a member account, creating a review for a hotel with your member account, being able to like other reviews that other members have made, things like that. So I've got it all documented here, including the ER diagram that talks through the structure of the database. And so I actually have two branches. I have kind of the local version here, so which can be run locally, but I also, there's a separate branch is the version that I used in to host it. So it's hosted currently on Azure. And the way that works is that there's the Kubernetes deployment file that allows you to kind of kick off the application and connect to a Azure SQL database using Kubernetes, which is pretty cool. So that's currently running in Azure. So you can see the container I made for it, the container registry, the database, and the service. So if we wanted to test that, so I've got Insomnia that will run all the API calls. You can see the base URL is not localhost, so it is a real URL provided by Azure. And I can start to do things like add a review, right? So if I want to add a review for Hotel 1, let's say test review, send that, and you can see that it returns. And if I want to test it further, I can use pgadmin to actually query the database live, and that's something I use for kind of testing. So I can see that test review is live in the database. So that is the application. It is, like I said, currently on Azure. So some challenges I ran into was really getting it working on Azure, particularly when it came to ports, right? Running it locally is a lot easier because you don't have to worry about ports and making sure that the networking is set up properly for the cluster to connect with the database when it's all locally is a lot easier. So that was a big challenge. Luckily, my instructor was a big help and blocked me a couple times. So that was probably the biggest challenge. And yeah, the way I resolved it was talking to the instructor and then also emulating what the workshops were. The workshops were really good, so I can, even if I didn't understand everything, I can kind of walk through a workshop and recreate those steps and just with viewing it with my own application. So that is my project. I'm very happy that it all worked. There's probably more things I'd want to do in the future state, right? Maybe add some more functionality to, so for instance, having the option to aggregate reviews to populate into the hotel. So things like that. It'd also be cool to build a front end for this to display the content. So maybe that's something I'll do later on. But it's working. Thanks for your time. And thanks for the opportunity. It was a lot of fun.